So, today's video is going over a name you've heard a million times, maybe even more, going back to when he was drafted back in 2017, eventually making my favorite team, the Vancouver Canucks. We mention his name in every single post-Canucks recap game video, but we're not talking about this player, we're talking about somebody else who shares the name, and even though this is a name that we have literally said on the channel hundreds of times, this particular player has only really been talked about twice. Once in the Why I Want video we made about him, and another time in the actual draft reaction video that we made too. Now, I will say that the reaction video that we had when this player, Elias Pettersson, was drafted 80th overall by the Vancouver Canucks in the 2022 NHL Entry Draft, even though there was like a big kind of Joker laugh at the beginning of that video, that was not the live reaction. There was a bigger, more explosive reaction that I had coming back from the Travago commercial break that we had here on the Sportsnet broadcast, when we inevitably saw Vancouver already make the pick. We didn't see the pick get made because there was a commercial, but once we returned to the broadcast, it said Vancouver 80th overall, Elias Pettersson, and on my screen I saw that and I just bursted out laughing. Because with all the context, you know, we knew who this player was, we knew this guy existed, we knew there was another Swede in this year's draft named Elias Pettersson. This guy, though, was not a Timrå IK star, he wasn't a center, he wasn't an eventual Växjö Lakers superstar and the best player in the SHL as a rookie, breaking all the junior records set by guys like Peter Forsberg and all that. Okay, he didn't break Kent Nielsen's record, I believe, or did he? I'm not too sure. Points per game, that's what it was. Kent Nielsen had the record in when it comes to regular points. EP40 does indeed take the cake. But when it comes to Elias Pettersson, a Rebro defenseman drafted by Vancouver, he made his way over to the table and he put on the jersey, shook everybody's hand. I, for one, was super surprised. Not necessarily because they drafted a Swedish defenseman that can move the puck well and is okay in defensive situations, but because they actually gave in to the meme. The Vancouver Canucks took a guy that not only was a legitimately okay draft pick, especially at 80th overall, but they took the guy that would get people talking. They took the guy that they... You know, to be honest, if they said they didn't want to take him because his name was Elias Pettersson, I could understand that. I could understand, hey, you know, there's another player on our team that has the same name, and because this is a big media story, there might be a little bit too much excitement for this guy, and people might start placing unrealistic expectations. I would have been completely okay with that kind of assessment, but no, Vancouver said, screw that, we're going balls to the wall, memeing it up here, and we're taking Elias Pettersson. So, I just wanted to go over some stuff with Elias Pettersson, the new one, at 80th overall, and just kind of highlight a few things here and there that I think are interesting to talk about. So firstly, this is some of the material from the actual draft day. This stuff wasn't really included in the video that we made because the video we made was so immediate, off the cuff, and it was like, okay, here's everything you need to know right away. There's still some extra stuff that came out here. Elias Pettersson said immediately after getting drafted that he has never met Elias Pettersson. And, yeah, it's not really all too big of a surprise. Elias Pettersson, the Vancouver Canucks one. Okay, no, not they're both Vancouver Canucks ones. The one that we know that was already on the team, he's been in Vancouver ever since, what was that, 2018-19? So he's been here for a while. If you're doing the math, the new Elias Pettersson was like 15, 16 years old when the Vancouver Canucks Elias Pettersson made the Vancouver Canucks. So already there's a pretty big gap in between the time spent in Sweden for both of these players. Elias Pettersson also said his favorite player is Elias Pettersson, which is, I mean, okay, it's not surprising, and in fact, it's actually kind of funny because the first round pick the Canucks had, Jonathan Lekkerimäki, his favorite player is also Elias Pettersson. And of course, we're talking about the Canucks, no, not the Canucks Pettersson, the 2017 Pettersson. I should probably differentiate it by saying that. But the new Elias Pettersson also has Elias Pettersson as his favorite player. You also had yourself some assessments. This is what Cam Robinson said. Vancouver gets a great value on another Elias Pettersson. A sturdy, physical, two-way defender. I had him ranked 45th on my board. Here's the write-up that Cam includes. Yes, there is another EP. No, he's nothing like the Canucks star. This Elias Pettersson is a two-way defender who brings good physicality, a smart stick, and plus-rated skating. He earned himself 17 SHL games and popped offensively in the J20 playoffs. JD Burke said similar things. I like the Elias Pettersson pick for Vancouver. He doesn't bring a ton of offense to the table, but he can move the puck well enough, and was an exceptional in-zone defender for the SHL's Örebro Hockey Club. The meme potential counts for something as well. You also had yourselves some assessments made by NHL media people at the Canucks development camp. This is what Chris Faber said, buddy of mine. He runs a Canucks podcast named Canucks Conversation. You've probably heard it before. Nobody really stole the show at day one of development camp, but I really did like Elias Pettersson. He's a big, strong dude, uses his body well, moves around the ice at a good pace too, and he handled the puck with good touch as well. Now, God bless Chris for going out there and making tweets like this, because the Canucks prospects development camp at UBC actually wasn't open to the public, I believe. So you had people like this, Chris, going out there and being our main source of information for a lot of the stuff that we saw there. We also had a video interview done with Elias Pettersson where he talks about how this is the first time he has been in Canada and how Vancouver was his favorite team and Elias Pettersson, his favorite player, and how Vancouver has a good history of Swedes with Naslund, Edler, all the guys, you've heard their names 100 times because, Vancouver Canucks fans were kind of synonymous with Swedish hockey stars. We did have a little bit of a scare as well because on July 13th, Elias Pettersson was not on the ice because he was walking with a limp and a wrap on his knee. So it did look like he got a bit banged up at development camp, so we're all hoping that that's not a trend that continues. But we also had a few highlight videos as well of Elias Pettersson going out there making some good shots and scoring 5-hole on goaltenders there. It's all on the Canucks social media page. They did a very good job, in my opinion, when it comes to keeping everybody updated. But just ending off this video, I wanted to go over just some more memes, just kind of throw around a few more ideas. This is what Thomas Drance tweeted out back on July 8th when Pettersson was drafted. Elias Pettersson had played with Oscar Pettersson before in Sweden, so he's been E. Pettersson before in the jersey too. When you get to the NHL, how will they handle this? We'll do whatever the other Pettersson wants, Pettersson answered, referring to EP40. Now, it is kind of funny how the NHL had been doing it recently, because even as recently as a few years ago, we had the Boston Bruins have both Rick Nash and Riley Nash on their team at the same time. And if you're kind of paying attention, okay, if you have two last names that are the same, you're just going to add the first initial on it, right? But if it's like Rick Nash and Riley Nash, they're both R Nash. In fact, they're both R-I Nash, because Rick is R-I-C-K, Riley R-I-L-E-Y, right? So how did they do it? Well, they just went with R Nash on both of them. And they had different numbers, which is how commentators and fans were able to differentiate them. It's a little different nowadays, though, I think, because this time around, I don't think the NHL actually had the first initials for players that had similar last names. Now, I'm not an expert, so somebody please go out there and correct me if I'm wrong, if there were any NHL pairings of duplicated last name players on different teams this year, but in the NHL games, for example, if you had Sedin on your Hut team, it wouldn't give you that first initial anymore, which is something that previous games had, but I feel like even this year, it was just kind of differentiated for a reason there. But at training camp, or not training camp, development camp, we did have the new Elias Pettersson have E. Pettersson on the back of his jersey, so we'll see what happens there. When it comes to the regular Elias Pettersson and his reaction to everything, he said, "We need another nickname" on Instagram. It's the top comment there on the Canucks social media page. He also posted on his story, "Welcome Elias Pettersson to the team," and then he posted the Spider-Man meme. Because, yeah, you can never have too many Elias Petterssons. If this new guy ends up having even a fraction of the same talent level as the old guy, then that's a pretty good thing, and I think the Vancouver Canucks should draft all the other Elias Petterssons. Somebody made a Reddit post the other day as well after the draft, and it said, hey, give me all of them, and you can see that they're all the Elias Petterssons that are available on Elite Prospects. There's a goalie in there, there are more forwards in there, there are a total of, what is that? 3 defenders, 4 forwards, and 1 goalie, all named Elias Pettersson, and 2 of them were drafted by Vancouver already, so Yeah, okay, some of them are a little bit older, so they're not really going to be able to get taken anymore, but still. It's kind of funny, isn't it? Talk to me in the comments your thoughts about Elias Pettersson. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.